On April 9, 2016, a horrifying call sent shockwaves through the Renton Police Department. A 911 caller had just found 3 white trash bags with human remains. The victim in this gruesome discovery was Ingrid Lyne, a 40-year-old woman. The findings included a severed leg, a detached arm, and a decapitated head. As investigators delved deeper into the case, their relentless pursuit of the missing pieces led them to an individual. Now, who is this person and why is he being interrogated about Ingrid's death? Hello, and welcome back to Bizarre Cases. My name is Jerry, and today we'll explore the unsettling case of Ingrid Lyne. Now let's get back to our story. However, let's go back to the beginning. Ingrid Lyne, a vibrant and cheerful soul, was born on August 2nd, 1975 in Arizona. She graduated from Canyon del Oro High School in Tucson, Arizona in 1993 and pursued her passion for nursing, earning a Bachelor of Science in Nursing degree from the University of Arizona in 1997. In 2000, Ingrid ventured to Washington, where she spent approximately 13 years. Her nursing career began at Seattle's Swedish Medical Center, where she positively impacted countless lives. Ingrid married Philip Lyne and together welcomed 3 beautiful daughters, Reese, Brooke, and Noelle. However, as time passed, their relationship faced challenges, leading Ingrid to make the difficult decision to divorce Philip in 2014. In a courageous step, she departed from their residence and established her new home in Renton, Washington, with her 3 beloved daughters, embracing the beginning of a fresh chapter as a single mother. Ingrid's profound love for her children propelled her to surmount challenges, going to great lengths to ensure their well-being and happiness. By 2016, Ingrid was living in Renton with her daughters, Reese, Brooke, and Noelle, who were 6, 8, and 10 years old at the time. Despite their divorce, Ingrid and Philip remained in close contact, dedicated to providing their daughters with the love and care of both parents. However, the ordeal of divorce had left Ingrid feeling emotionally shattered, and she longed for someone to share her burdens, a person who would genuinely love and respect her, qualities she had missed in her previous marriage. During this trying phase, the 40-year-old Ingrid encountered someone online through a dating website. Their conversations brought solace to her life, helping her momentarily escape her pain and nurturing a profound sense of love. This individual made Ingrid feel beautiful and appreciated, regardless of being a mother to 3 wonderful daughters. It seemed like a dream come true for Ingrid, marking the commencement of a promising new chapter in her life. On April 8, 2016, after a month of getting to know each other online, Ingrid made a bold decision to meet this man in person. It was a step towards embracing the possibility of moving forward in her life. She entrusted her daughters to her ex-husband's care, promising to take them out on a special outing the next day. Ingrid and her date chose to attend the opening game of the Seattle Mariners, an electrifying baseball event. After the game, they ventured to a bar where the man's sister was employed. Their evening was filled with the joy of playing darts, sharing drinks, and hearty laughter. Ingrid felt an overwhelming sense of happiness and freedom. Little did she know that this night would not only have a profound impact on her life, but also on her daughters and everyone connected to her. On April 9, 2016, Ingrid's ex-husband, Philip, arrived at her Renton home around 10 a.m. to drop off their daughters. As he approached the house, he noticed that Ingrid's 2015 silver Toyota Highlander was clearly absent. Concerned, he knocked on the door repeatedly, but there was no response. He made multiple attempts to reach her by phone, but Ingrid did not answer any of his calls. This was unusual because Ingrid had a reputation for never breaking promises, especially when it came to her daughters. Growing increasingly anxious, Philip decided to contact Ingrid's mother, Jorga Abbas, hoping she might have some information about Ingrid's whereabouts. Yet, as Jorga learned that Ingrid was absent from home, her own anxiety mounted. She too found herself in the dark, with no idea about Ingrid's location. Filled with nervousness, Jorga rushed to Ingrid's residence, knowing she had a spare key. She quickly entered the house and called out for Ingrid, but her voice echoed as she received no response. Worried, Jorga went upstairs to check Ingrid's room, but it was empty. She found Ingrid's purse and phone on a table, but Ingrid was nowhere to be found, and her car was gone. This situation was puzzling and suspicious because it didn't make sense for Ingrid to leave without her phone and purse. Most people don't go outside without those things. These strange things made Jorga even more worried about Ingrid's strange disappearance. Without waiting, Jorga called the emergency number and told the police that her daughter Ingrid was missing from their city. She quickly gave them all the important information.
Ingrid Lyne, Moody reporting.
The missing person out of our city. So Lyne is her last name. First name Ingrid. She and her vehicle are missing.
What kind of car?
A silver 2015 Toyota Highlander.
And do we have any ideas of where she might be going, or?
No, her ex-husband was dropping the kids off, and she wasn't there.
The Renton Police Department quickly sent officers to Ingrid's house. When they got there, they found Jorga, who was crying because she was so worried. At first, the police tried to comfort her, saying Ingrid might have just gone out and would come back soon. But Jorga, being a mom, had a strong feeling that something was wrong. She was determined to find her daughter. She asked the police to start a big investigation to find Ingrid. The police started talking to people who lived nearby, going from door to door, trying to get any information that could help. They asked if anyone saw Ingrid coming back home the night before or leaving in the morning. One neighbor had something interesting to say. He said he saw Ingrid coming back with a guy he didn't recognize the night before. The mystery was that no one saw Ingrid leaving her house after that. So the big question was, who was that guy? And if Ingrid did come back, but didn't leave, where did she go? The police asked people to think about anything strange they might have seen the night before or in the morning, and asked them to tell the police that they knew anything important that could help find Ingrid. In the middle of all this investigating, Ingrid's daughters started to get really worried. They saw the police asking about their mom and turned to their grandma, Jorga, for answers. They were anxious and wondered if something bad had happened to their mom. Jorga tried to reassure them, saying that their mom had just gone somewhere and would be back soon. But Jorga couldn't help but worry. She and Ingrid had a Verizon account together, which meant they could see stuff like phone records and internet use. Jorga got curious and started looking at the phone records. She found a phone number that Ingrid got calls from a lot, including on the day she disappeared. This made Jorga dig even deeper. She put that number into Facebook, and to her surprise, she found a guy named John Charlton. Jorga sent him a text, really wanting to know where Ingrid was. John Charlton texted back quickly, saying, "I'm John. I thought she was with her kids today." Jorga was trembling as she typed back, "When did she last see you? She's not here. Her phone, driver's license, and purse are here, but she's gone. I called 911 for help." John seemed confused as he asked, "What happened?" He went on to explain, "We went to the Mariners game last night, but we didn't stay together because she had to meet her kids today. I'm not sure what she told you about me and our relationship." Jorga got really scared and said, "She's missing. Can you please tell me the last time you saw her? The police need to talk to you because you might be the last person who saw her." That's when Jorga realized that Ingrid had gone on a date with John Charlton the night before, and that was probably the same guy the neighbor saw coming home with Ingrid. Jorga was both worried and hopeful. Thinking that John might know something about where Ingrid was, she kept sending him messages, begging him, "Please, John, can you call me? I know your name is John Charlton, so please reach out to me." As time passed, the worry and not knowing what happened to Ingrid got even harder to bear. Jorga couldn't stand the idea of her daughter just disappearing like this. She kept texting, really hoping for any clue, and said, "John, did Ingrid say anything about meeting someone after you two went separate ways last night? We can't find her or her car. Her phone, ID, and purse are at home, but she and her car are gone. We're so worried and don't know what to do. Ingrid wouldn't just leave her family like this." Yet, John remained silent, offering no response to any of the texts. Tears welled up in Jorga's eyes, and a sense of helplessness washed over her. The situation intensified when, 6 hours after Ingrid was reported missing, around 4 p.m., the police received a chilling call from a man named Mike Navaccio. Mike lived approximately 10 miles from Ingrid's house on 21st Avenue and East Rhine Street in Seattle. With fear in his voice, he described the chilling discovery. While taking out his recycling bin, he stumbled upon what appeared to be human body parts wrapped in white trash bags.
911, what are you reporting?
This is going to sound really bizarre, but I went to go grab my recycling bin, and there were 3 white trash bags in the recycling bin, and I went to lift them out. And honestly, it's freaking me out, but it looks like it's a foot.
Mike's voice quivered as he recounted his harrowing experience. He described encountering a severed head and noted the painted toenails, a sight that made him physically ill. The level of detail in the packaging of these body parts was disturbingly precise. The police didn't waste a moment and quickly arrived at the scene. With great care, they retrieved the bags from the bins. As the bags were opened, a grim shock descended upon them. Among the gruesome contents were a severed head, a portion of a leg, and an arm, while other body parts were notably absent. The lack of decomposition suggested that the person had been killed recently. However, the facial features were still recognizable, allowing the police to identify the head as belonging to Ingrid, the woman who had been reported missing earlier that day. The police couldn't help but wonder why the killer had chosen to deposit these body parts only 10 miles away in a recycling bin where they could easily be discovered. Was it a sinister taunt, a challenge to the authorities, or perhaps a way to ensure the body parts were found without delay? With heavy hearts, they sent the body parts for testing, hoping to glean any clues about the identity of the killer. Delivering the devastating news to Ingrid's family was a painful task for the police. They informed Jorga about Ingrid's tragic death and the horrific discovery of her dismembered body parts. The devastating news left Jorga shattered, plunging her into disbelief as she grappled with the cruel fate that had befallen her daughter. She couldn't fathom why anyone would inflict such cruelty on Ingrid. The stark reality that her granddaughters would never again experience Ingrid's love and presence was a heartbreaking weight to bear. As Jorga grappled with this anguish, the police doubled their efforts in their quest to find the missing body parts. On April 10, 2016, the day following Ingrid's discovery, Jorga logged into Facebook, still hoping for a response from John in light of Ingrid's tragic death. Yet no reply came. Frustrated and concerned, she decided to contact the police in the afternoon, providing them with all the information about John and his connection to Ingrid. The police recognized that since John was likely the last person to see Ingrid, his insights could be valuable to the investigation. They made multiple attempts to reach him but received no response until the evening, when John finally answered their call. Seeing the weight of the situation and wanting to make sure John cooperated during the upcoming interrogation, the police used a trick. They told him they needed to talk about Ingrid's disappearance and that they were keeping a close watch on what he was doing. They made it very clear that if he didn't cooperate, he'd be arrested. So, on April 11, 2016, John went to the police station for questioning.
Do you have anything hidden in your socks or shoes?
The police checked him to make sure he didn't have any hidden weapons. The questioning started with where he lived.
And what is an address for you, John?
I'm homeless.
Are you? Where are you staying right now?
In the street.
His relationship with Ingrid and what happened when they were together.
We're looking into what happened to Ingrid, as you're aware she's missing.
Yes.
And we know that you knew her. What's your relationship with her? Have you been dating her consistently since you met, or?
I would say, I guess, yeah.
Did she let you stay at her place, or were you staying elsewhere?
She let me say or something.
How often were you guys seeing one another, like the last couple weeks?
What was strange was that John seemed really calm, even though his girlfriend had been murdered. The police asked him about the day Ingrid was last seen.
What's the last memory you have of contact with Ingrid? What's the last thing you remember? Do you remember her driving you downtown?
I believe I sent her a message that morning. I knew she had her kids the next day, so I wasn't gonna. She didn't want me to meet her kids, ever. I don't know about ever, but she just didn't want me to meet her kids.
Trying to get all the details.
So when you were back at her place and you had sex, and I apologize for asking this, but was it in the
I think we did.
was it in the bedroom or somewhere else?
I think we did.
You think you did? You don't remember it?
I don't. We usually, yeah, I'm just.
After the questioning, the police left the room, but they were still watching John on surveillance cameras. In a strange and unsettling moment, he casually used his sweatshirt as a pillow, which made it seem like he didn't understand how serious the situation was. Even though John's behavior during questioning made the police suspicious, they didn't have any concrete evidence linking him to Ingrid's murder yet. They had to let him go, but they kept a close eye on what he was doing, hoping for more leads to come up. In just a matter of days, what started as a disappearance case had taken a dark turn, evolving into a full-blown murder investigation. Driven by their determination to unearth the truth, the police secured a search warrant for Ingrid's residence. Inside her house, their search led them to a chilling discovery: an almost empty box of garbage bags, eerily similar to the ones found in the recycling bin. They meticulously scoured every corner of the house, conducting a thorough examination. To their shock, they stumbled upon a pruning saw ominously leaning against the wall in the bathroom. Upon closer scrutiny, the saw's teeth bore gruesome evidence: traces of blood, tissue, and bone. Adding to the chilling discoveries, they also detected blood in the bathtub drain. It became clear that Ingrid had been dismembered in her own bathroom using the pruning saw following her tragic demise. The urgency to locate the remaining body parts intensified. Then, on April 15, 2016, a chilling call reached the police from a man named Michael Mullen, who had made a disturbing discovery in his own recycling bin. As he sifted through the bin that morning, he uncovered a wrapped package that unveiled a torso with a pierced belly button. The police acted swiftly, alarmed by the fact that Ingrid also had a pierced belly button, and her previous body parts had been found in similar garbage bags. Tragically, they confirmed that this torso belonged to Ingrid, further deepening the horror of the case. Following the testing of the previously discovered body parts, a significant breakthrough occurred on April 18, 2016. A human leg was uncovered at a recycling plant on South Hanford Street, Seattle. The leg bore the same distinctive painted toenails as Ingrid's. This discovery indicated that Ingrid's remains had been scattered across 3 separate locations, including the recycling bins where they were first found. The police began to rethink their initial assumption that the perpetrator might be a serial killer, as their typical modus operandi involves disposing of bodies in locations that are difficult to discover. A new theory emerged, suggesting that the culprit could have a closer connection to Ingrid. The police, committed to unearthing any overlooked evidence, returned to Ingrid's residence. They made the decision to dismantle the plumbing system and meticulously inspect it. To their astonishment, they found additional traces of blood in the disassembled drain trap. In their investigative efforts, they employed a reagent known as Blue Star, which further unveiled evidence of blood that had been deliberately cleaned. The crime appeared less and less impulsive. It now seemed meticulously planned and executed, adding a perplexing layer to the case. As the results from the testing became available, more grim details regarding Ingrid's death emerged. Initially categorized as homicidal violence, the medical examiner detected petechia, tiny blood vessels in her eyes, suggesting that she had been strangled. Additionally, evidence of hemorrhaging on her neck pointed to strangulation as the cause of death. Ingrid had first been strangled and subsequently dismembered within the confines of her own home. This revealed a chilling portrait of the method in which her life had been brutally taken, indicating a profound and intense animosity toward her. The toxicology report disclosed that Ingrid had no drugs in her system, but her blood alcohol level, BAC, was 0.74, slightly above the normal range. 2 days later, on April 20, 2016, the police discovered Ingrid's vehicle in Belltown, a mere 6-minute drive from Seattle. This discovery raised suspicion, as John had claimed that Ingrid dropped him off downtown before returning home, where she was later murdered. It struck the investigators as peculiar that her car was abandoned so close to Seattle, the location where they had attended the Seattle Mariners game together. The police searched the entire car very carefully, and they made a shocking discovery. Inside the car, they found the same white trash bags that had been used to wrap Ingrid's dismembered body parts. They also found 3 fingerprints on the car's driver's door handle, and this was a really important find. These fingerprints could either belong to Ingrid because the car was registered in her name, or they might belong to the person who drove her car to that place. The importance of the fingerprints could not be underestimated. They were quickly sent for testing, and the results left no doubt. The fingerprints were a perfect match to John Charlton, the guy Ingrid had gone on a date with on the night she disappeared. It became clear that John had been lying during the interrogation, trying to trick the police. Even though he initially said he was drunk and didn't know what happened, the way the crime was planned and carried out, along with how thoroughly the crime scene was cleaned, suggested that John had thought about this in advance and had a clear reason for killing Ingrid. The investigators remembered that during the first questioning, John had mentioned staying with his ex-girlfriend, so they worked hard to find and talk to her, keeping her identity private for privacy reasons. In the interview, she said that she and John had known each other for about a year. He usually stayed at a shelter in Seattle at night, except for a couple of nights a week when he stayed at her place and had some of his stuff there. Interestingly, she revealed to the police that John had planned to visit her on the morning of Saturday, April 9, 2016, the day following his date with Ingrid. However, he arrived later than expected, citing an unforeseen circumstance. She recounted that he appeared at the Lake Stevens bus station around 10:30 p.m., sporting a swollen and injured lip. When asked about the injury, John explained that he had been the victim of a robbery at a bar, during which he had not only lost his money, but also sustained the injuries. This particular detail raised a red flag for the police. Recalling their questioning of John on April 11, 2016, they had observed abrasions on his head, chin, and scratches on his chest and arms. These injuries seemed to align with the disconcerting possibility that they could have resulted from a struggle between John and Ingrid during the act of strangulation. It became evident that she had valiantly fought back, leaving her mark on her assailant in a desperate attempt to save her own life. The police wasted no time and quickly arrested John, formally charging him with Ingrid Lyne's murder. John Robert Charlton, born in 1979 in Washington to his parents, Ray and Joan Charlton, was 37 years old at the time of his arrest. He had a concerning history of dealing with the law. In 1997, he was convicted of misdemeanor assault in King County, which suggested a tendency toward being aggressive. He also had a record of careless driving in Washington state in 1998. In 2006, he faced charges of attempted aggravated robbery in Utah, indicating a leaning toward criminal activities. This showed that he was no stranger to getting into legal trouble. In 2008, he was convicted of felony theft in Montana. Additionally, records showed a misdemeanor battery case in Idaho in 2009, hinting at a disturbing pattern of violent behavior. His previous encounters with the law made his character more complex and raised concerns about his potential involvement in serious crimes. John's troublesome history extended beyond his criminal record. There were unsettling incidents involving his parents, which gave a glimpse into his unpredictable behavior. In 2006, John's parents, Ray and Joan Charlton, sought protection from him because they were afraid for their safety. They reported that he would get drunk and become physically and verbally abusive. On March 2, 2006, during one incident, Ray claimed that John took the movie Hannibal from a shelf in their home and placed it in front of his wife, warning her to watch it and be cautious. According to his parents, John had a tendency to hold grudges for a long time, and his behavior became increasingly intimidating and violent when he was under the influence of alcohol or drugs. They also suspected he was using crack cocaine. While their request for a protection order was eventually dismissed, these incidents painted a troubling picture of John's instability and his aggressive tendencies. Initially, John denied any knowledge of what happened to Ingrid, but he eventually changed his plea to guilty before the trial began. In the courtroom, the prosecution argued that John intentionally and carefully planned Ingrid's murder inside her home. He strangled her to death, placed her lifeless body in a bathtub, and used a pruning saw to cut her into pieces, separating her limbs and head from her torso.
Mr. Charlton intentionally and with premeditation strangled Ingrid to death. He placed her body in a bathtub. Using a pruning saw, he dismembered her body, severing her limbs and head from her torso.
In a horrifying revelation, it was disclosed that John drove through downtown Seattle, disposing of Ingrid's dismembered body parts in various trash cans. The medical examiner's report confirmed that Ingrid's death resulted from homicidal violence. On the other hand, the defense team argued that there was a lack of forensic evidence connecting anyone, including their client, to Ingrid's murder. They cautioned the community not to jump to conclusions during this tragic event. Even though many pieces of evidence pointed to John's involvement, there were still unanswered questions, and the motive behind Ingrid's murder might never be fully understood. Prosecutor Dan Satterberg praised the diligent work of the police and prosecutors, who collected evidence carefully to build a strong case against the person they believed was responsible for her death. It was a challenging task, but their dedication brought justice for Ingrid. John received a maximum prison sentence of 27 years and 9 months in accordance with the state's guidelines. However, Judge Julie Spector, presiding over the case in King County Superior Court, expressed her vehement condemnation. She declared that if she had the authority, she would have imposed a life sentence, characterizing John's actions as vicious and cruel beyond anyone's imagination. During the sentencing hearing, John addressed the court and Ingrid's grieving family. He acknowledged the immense pain he had caused and expressed genuine remorse, saying,
I do agree that there are no words that can alleviate the pain that I've caused. And for that, I'm truly sorry.
I do agree there are no words that can alleviate the pain that I've caused, and for that, I'm truly sorry. Ingrid's ex-husband, Philip, shared the profound loss inflicted by John's actions. He conveyed how John had not only taken away his co-parent and confidant, but also the loving and caring mother to their daughters. Philip mourned the absence of Ingrid's motherly guidance, the cherished traditions they would miss, and the future joy of having a maternal grandmother for their children. Despite their resilience, Philip recognized that their daughters keenly felt the void left by their mother every single day.
Our daughters continue to thrive, but miss their mother every day in different ways.
Ingrid's close friend, Nancy Civitilli, voiced the indescribable horror that enveloped everyone upon learning of Ingrid's tragic death. She stressed that the murder transcended a simple act of violence, leaving behind an unimaginable aftermath. Civitilli didn't mince her words, labeling John a coward and making him confront the profound impact of his actions on Ingrid's daughters. She underlined the grief experienced by friends like herself, who held Ingrid in high regard as a sister. Even though justice has been delivered, the scars of this tragedy persist. This case should serve as a poignant reminder of the significance of remaining vigilant, compassionate, and committed to seeking justice for those whose lives have been unjustly taken. What are your thoughts on this case? It's a deeply tragic and unsettling story that leaves us with questions about the motivations and psyche of individuals who commit such heinous acts. As for the reasons behind John's horrifying actions, it's a complex and disturbing matter that may never be fully understood. If you have a case you'd like us to cover, please feel free to share your recommendations in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more captivating true crime stories. Until next time, stay safe and keep your eyes peeled for the next mystery to unravel.